there should be a definition of what constitutes a basic bank account and what is needed, that the banks can understand that when someone walks into the bank and say, I would like to open a bank account, that the bank don't tell them, you need to bring a bill from GEBE. The bank don't tell them, you need to bring where your mother is working. You need to bring what car insurance you have. You need to bring a letter of inheritance. You need to bring 2 large job pay slips. You need to bring this and bring that and bring that and bring that and bring that. No. It needs to be that the banks can understand, okay, you need to have 2 forms of ID and your address. That is what constitutes a basic bank account. And if that can be amended, if that can be part of it, then I can see myself supporting this banking law. If not, then I can't. I thank you very much.
And the first would be to touch on what MP Bryson said about Article 5, stricter conditions before ending the relationship with a customer. How would this article then relate to AML legislation, so anti-money laundering legislation, where banks now have to provide a reason for rejecting an account, whilst most AML legislation prohibits a tipping off type of scenario? And then the second question for now, so from the government side, I've previously asked about the possibility of establishing better identification track histories for citizens. So something in line with like the BSN ID that you get in the Netherlands or social security number, to use a closer example from the United States. If we look at banking in the Caribbean as a whole, this remains a challenge. A proof of address is a proof of address, but it doesn't mean you're at that address. It's very tough, and it's, I can't think of a different word to use, but it's very tough to track people and their movements financially, and just physically on the island. And that has been a complaint of the banks, not just here, but everywhere. So the response received at the time was that this was being worked on. So I would request an update from the Minister of Finance, who answered that question previously, as to where we are in that process.
In a meeting like this, where in a central committee, the real only ultimate requirement is that a report is drawn up where the minister must respond to all the questions and concerns of the members of parliament, this is a moment where I would enjoy having a debate. Because in the debate yesterday, you know, one of the things that was a very good admission that was made is that the Democratic Party was the authors of the monetary union. And Mr. Chairman, I said that is a good admission, because the 2 biggest issues that we've gotten out of that monetary union was what is happening at Enya with Ansari and Mullet Bay, and what we're dealing with today, the unmitigated disaster that we've had in our country, where the banks have been allowed to operate basically without any sort of consumer protection legislation. So, Mr. Chairman, maybe the debate feeling is still there, that now the debate is over, we have to try and win it again today. Mr. Chairman, I'm tired of wasting my time having to address the excuses that come from people who just want to vote against for voting against sake. Mr. Chairman, if the biggest problem of a member of parliament is that a minister ain't here, when the minister has to be present for the public meeting, when the minister has, or the government as a whole, I agree. I think we should hear a good question posed about Ministry of Justice, but does the Minister of Justice have to sit here to give us this question? We've had that discussion in faction leaders, that we should do like how Curacao and Aruba do. They don't even broadcast their central committee handlings of the law. The minister sometimes only sends the technocrats, because this is a technical discussion on the technicalities of the law. So, Mr. Chairman, I think you have handled this in the right way. I don't have an issue with it. Maybe I'm biased, because yes, this was a co-legislated law. I might have initiated it with the support of Parliament. We then asked the government to vet it, because what is the feedback I've gotten in the past? Oh, you drafting these laws and they're not good. Okay, you know what? Then let me ask the central bank to help me with it. Then you do that, it's still a problem. So, Mr. Chairman, the end result is this legislation is here to create a basic bank account. There are some legitimate concerns that I also look forward to hearing from the minister regarding exactly their vision in terms of what the central bank's point was in terms of the requirements. I get that part. But we still have the opportunity to make amendments. MP Arundel has proposed some, MP Emmanuel has proposed some, has proposed some. Now we're talking. Now we're being parliamentarians.
next person I see is MP Sarah Westcott Williams. MP Sarah, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to know if you will respond to the questions I posed to you with respect to this meeting. In terms of the minister not appearing, will you be requesting that he does? Are we just going to close it off the way, close off this reporting the way it has been done? Are we going to get the persons who feel they are initiators of this law sit in front of us so that we can have a debate as it really takes place between Parliament and the initiator of a law? So if you could provide some clarity, Mr. Chairman, in your capacity as chairperson of Parliament, that would be very much appreciated. And respond to the question about the Prime Minister's refusal to come to Parliament and address the questions posed on the matter of GEBE. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Sarah Westcott Williams. I would surely respond to you in writing after consultation with my SGs. And the next person is MP Grisha Halliger Martin.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, it's unfortunate that you are unable to answer the question, Mr. Chairman, because I was actually looking forward to some sort of response, at least an ounce of response as to why you've allowed to not have the minister here present with us to present his law that he presented to Parliament. I can't understand. This is like new for me in the 4 years in Parliament, that you present the law and you just go and zook it maroid, ask whatever question you have, I ain't there to present nothing. I mean, I don't get it, Mr. Chairman. Why did you allow this meeting to happen? You can't answer that for yourself. You need to talk to the SG for that, Mr. Chairman, to find out why you decided not to continue this meeting without the Minister of Finance. In addition to all the questions posed, I just have a suggestion, or I don't know if the government is maybe considering this. My question / suggestion then would be, maybe if it's already considered, then kudos to the government for that. If a brand new company receives a business license to operate from government, can that brand new company automatically receive a bank account one time to do at least banking locally? That they don't have to go through the whole whatever process it takes, that it comes automatically once approved. You get an account automatically to do your business transactions locally. If you need to do anything internationally, if there's any other forms of or so that they need to fill out, then fine. But if they would consider having that pegged or tied to giving out business licenses. That's all I have for you now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Grisha Halliger Martin. Yes, I would like to just answer you on the point you raised that we're continuing with this meeting without the minister. I just want to confirm that I remember this has happened previously. We have had meetings before, and the ministers were not present, and quite a bit of clarity was given with MP Bryson. I thought we all understood. If we can have a debate about it, and our questions will be answered. Whether the minister is here or not, he gets the questions. So to limit the time, I believe the step what we did was good. People are suffering, and that's what we have to count.
Yes, John, it's election day. Your first election, no need to worry. Today, I will show you the proper steps on how to vote. Don't forget to walk with a valid form of identification and your voting card. When you get to the front of the line, hand the chairperson your ID and voting card. John, you can only use the red pencil attached to the voting booth. John, you can only vote for one person. Let the chairperson know you made a mistake. They will hand you another ballot. You have one last chance. Remember, you can only use the red pencil, color the full circle, vote for one candidate, and don't write or draw on the ballot. Important information. Election Day is on the 11th of January. Voting stations are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Selling your vote is a crime. Voting is a fundamental democratic right and a crucial civic duty that ensures representation, accountability, participation, and progress within a society. Step into the voting booth and cast your vote. When you are done, place the ballot in the bin.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
So my question is related to this decision that I saw about in the middle of the year moving from the Netherlands Antilles Guilder to the Caribbean Guilder. And I commend you, Prime Minister, for being here each week to be accountable even for ministers that are not here. So I understand it might not be exactly in your purview, but I think it's a really important discussion. So number one, the role of central bank is to monitor and manage the currency, but also they have this supervision role, which we've seen with the Enya saga wasn't really executed in the best way, and there's still an ongoing issue there. So I think that there's a question mark about the role and proper functioning of central bank. So the decision now to move to a Caribbean Guilder, number one, how is that decision made? What's St. Martin's, the government position? How are they involved? What's the cost of the new currency? So if I understand, they're physically taking away the Netherlands Antilles Guilder and replacing it with new bills and coins. So there's a physical cost for that. Did you look at dollarization? So number one, are you looking at the function overall of central bank and then dollarization as an alternative to moving to a Caribbean Guilder? Thank you.
Multiple questions, and definitely on a topic that I do not have the latest update on, Mr. Lee. So definitely the central bank's role in this, as well as the government's role, is clear. We have been having this discussion, I believe, since achieving the status as Curaçao and St. Martin. The Netherlands Antilles ceased to exist, so having a currency tied to a non-existent country is the challenge, and I therefore believe that was the main reason why they had to move towards whether it's the dollar or the Caribbean Guilder, and that entire process has taken this long. So I don't want to, go off the top of my head on something that I haven't recently delved into, and so I will ensure that you be updated, or the general public, from our Ministry of Finance and the central bank in a more clear manner as to the process to get here, as well as to how it will be done, the costs related to it, etc.
Clarification, but does the government of St. Martin, does the Council of Ministers support and agree, and did you participate in this decision to, as of the middle of this year, move to a Caribbean Guilder?
This has not been a recent discussion, so I cannot definitively say what the process was, but definitely the Minister of Finance would be able to give you a better answer. And if it is directly in his purview, did it have to come to the Council of Ministers? Did it come to the Council of Ministers 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 or 6 years ago, and that approval was already on the books, and so this is just a natural runover? I cannot say, but I do not expect that the central bank would make an announcement if they hadn't followed and walked the proper procedures. So we will find out exactly what that is, but I am pretty much under the assumption that most of it took part before we came in here.
Your social and health insurances. Your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Yes, John, it's election day. Your first election, no need to worry. Today, I will show you the proper steps on how to vote. Don't forget to walk with a valid form of identification and your voting card. When you get to the front of the line, hand the chairperson your ID and voting card. John, you can only use the red pencil attached to the voting booth. John, you can only vote for one person. Let the chairperson know you made a mistake. They will hand you another ballot. You have one last chance. Remember, you can only use the red pencil, color the full circle, vote for one candidate, and don't write or draw on the ballot. Important information. Election Day is on the 11th of January. Voting stations are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Selling your vote is a crime. Voting is a fundamental democratic right and a crucial civic duty that ensures representation, accountability, participation, and progress within a society. Step into the voting booth and cast your vote. When you are done, place the ballot in the bin.
It's time for a new brand that is as bold, vibrant, and colorful as the island of St. Martin, with colors drawn from our diversity, cultural heritage, and nature. Our breathtaking beaches, waters, and sun, the majestic brown pelican, our national symbol, the radiant yellow sage, our national flower, the historic border monument signifying the Dutch and French side, our exciting cruise, yachting, and boating ports, renowned Maho Beach and St. Martin Airport, the hub to the Caribbean. All these parts come together to create the shape of the island of St. Martin. More than a logo. It's a new brand that engages, excites, and will inspire travelers to book. It's time to tell the St. Martin story, to reintroduce travelers to St. Martin, to honor our past, to embrace our present, and shape our future. Our culture and diversity, Dutch and French sides, unrivaled cuisine, twice the nightlife, entertainment, and shopping, cruises, boating, and yachting, twice the adventure, exploration, and relaxation, splendid and scenic accommodations, Pinel, Tentamar, and island hopping in the Caribbean. Whatever your taste, St. Martin has more. Experience twice the Caribbean. St. Martin.
Let me begin by wishing all my fellow Dominicans, whether at home or abroad, a happy New Year with wishes of success and blessings to everyone and their families. As together we face the new year ahead, it is important that we reflect on where we have been and where it is that we are going as a people. Today's press conference, therefore, provides an ideal opportunity for the United Workers' Party to begin this all-important conversation on the future direction of our country. After all, the party that I have the privilege to lead has always been about the development and forward progress of all the people of Dominica. We cannot begin a conversation about our country's development without first reflecting on the threat to our democratic process and the very basis of our democracy, that of free and fair elections. For the past several years, we have seen repeated examples of a flawed electoral system, which has allowed the DLP administration to progressively dictate the election outcomes with a wholesale importation of voters and an unchecked infusion of cash, cheating, and bribery. This manipulation of our electoral system resulted in our party taking the unprecedented step of boycotting the last general elections of 2022. And at this point, I wish to thank all of those who supported our call to send a very strong message that we were not happy with the elections process in Dominica. Since that time, we have waged a determined effort to secure electoral reform, which we believe, if properly implemented, will restore our country's democratic process and lay the foundation for a flourishing democracy for many years to come. In that regard, I appeal to the Dominica Labour Party administration on behalf of the people of Dominica to immediately complete the revision of the electoral bill. Once complete, we urge the government to allow the people of Dominica an opportunity to scrutinize that bill and to make final recommendations before taking it to Parliament for approval. The people of Dominica expect no less. Now, allow me for the next few minutes to take a closer look at the current state of our economy and the affairs of our country while paying close attention to the record of the DLP government over the past 23 years. Most will agree with me that 23 years is more than enough time for government to put in place the means to transform for the better the lives of its people through good and meaningful management of the country's resources and persistent economic growth. While this government can rightly, and we support them in that, claim some progress in caring for our elderly citizens, providing much needed housing for some, a few infrastructural projects, and employing some youth through its national employment program, unfortunately for Dominica, the enduring record of the Dominica Labour Party administration is one of low and declining growth, massive youth unemployment, escalating poverty, deteriorating health and education sectors, foreigners given preference over locals in the awarding of contracts and work, and an increasingly frustrated and demotivated population.